Welcome to the sixth and final chapter in our video course, Rapid Less. In this chapter, we are mainly going to round off a few of the miscellaneous things about less to tie up any possible questions and cover its smaller but equally important features. In this video, we are going to cover less's variation on the @import function that we already use in our CSS. As we are all painfully aware, search engines have become extremely particular when it comes to a site's performance, Google especially. Things like unminified or uncompressed files, even multiple DNS requests can have negative impact on a site's overall ranking. This is probably my favorite feature of less, and I'm sure many of you will agree. In vanilla CSS, the @import function is something we often avoid as it actually breaks the browser's parallel downloading, forcing it to download files one at a time instead of multiple files. Less treats this somewhat differently if you are importing a less file. If you are importing a CSS, it treats it no differently to the way a normal style sheet would. When running an @import with less, your compiler actually processes the file's contents. In fact, it writes it directly into the referencing style sheet. All those additional plugins you are using to enhance the user experience often come with a style sheet of their own. Now we could copy the contents over and manually make a single style sheet, but down the line that makes maintenance and upgrades a bit more complicated. Also, it is just easier to manage and maintain a small amount of multiple files. Let us open both the index.html and main.less files from the section 6 chapter 1 folder in our editor. Now at this time we are going to modify the HTML a bit as well. If you look at the head of the HTML file, you will notice we are currently calling 5 CSS files, which results in 5 DNS queries. If you take a look at the CSS folder in the chapter, you will notice that each of those CSS files has a corresponding less file. Most of them are just the CSS file resaved as less files for the purpose of being able to enhance performance. For a quick example, let us now import the reset.less into our main.less file. We can do this right on top. Let's hit return on the keyboard and move our heading down a line and open up line 1 for us. The syntax for less is slightly different from CSS in the sense that there are no parentheses. We simply write @import, a space, then a pair of inverted commas, within which we write reset.less, and let's not forget to close off our line with a semicolon. Less is also a bit more relaxed when it comes to file names with importing. As long as the file name is correct, the extension is in fact optional. So we could have simply written reset within the inverted commas. Now we can go ahead and save so that our file can be processed. So let's first take a look at our new CSS file by opening up main.css in our editor. The very first thing we will see is our CSS reset styles. We can then go back to our index.html and simply delete line 20 as we no longer need to call the reset.css. While doing this, always make sure to keep your cascade in mind. If you are working off an existing site you want to enhance a bit, I would suggest running the imports in the same order as you have loaded your files. This brings me to another slight difference with CSS. Your imports always need to come first. However, when importing less files, this rule does not apply. The import will be run and the external files processed exactly where you put them. Then just to recap before we move on, this is a great and easy way of giving your site a little extra speed boost. While importing less, the file is processed and its contents are written into the file. Unlike CSS, there are no parentheses when writing an import instruction. You can write an import anywhere in the less file. That covers my favorite less feature and ends off this video. In the next video, Less Frameworks and Templates, we are going to take a look at some of the frameworks out there that have adopted less into its framework templates. Like probably the most commonly known one, Twitter Bootstrap.